We'll call to order the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board of Thursday, August 15th, 2024. Present at the front table to my far left is Jessica Vitale, a voting member.
Evening.
To my left, Dan, help me with you.
Van White.
Dan White, our solicitor this evening. To my right, Bill Rhodes, a voting member. Jesse Poynton, a voting member. And Jamie Delosian, Director of Community Development. Bill, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Sure. Please rise if you can. Repeat after me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have one decision and one continued case and a remand, which is essentially a continuation of a prior hearing. So let's get the decision out of the way first. With respect to case Z2424, Windy Knoll 174 Golf House LLC, and I won't read the rest of the description into the record unless somebody specifically requests that I do so. Bill, would you please take that decision?
Sure. With respect to case C24-24, I would vote to approve the requested relief subject to the following conditions. Number one, the fence along Andover Road and Golf House Road shall not exceed 5 feet in height. Second, the gate for the new driveway on Andover Road shall not have any solid panels and shall be consistent with the proposed estate-style fence. 3, the gate over the original driveway shall be manually operated only. And 4, the project will be completed within 1 year of this approval and shall be consistent with the updated plan depicted on Exhibit A11 and otherwise in accordance with the other conditions and the notes of testimony.
Jessica?
I agree.
Jesse?
Disagree.
I agree. That application is approved 3-1. Our next continued hearing is Z24-25, Lanner Country Club, owner of 950 Westchester Pike, Havertown, PA, DC folio number 2209-0271500, who seeks variances from section 182707B to permit 270 parking spaces when 327 are required, a variance from section 182718B1C to permit a front yard landscaping strip of less than 30 feet, and a variance from section 182602C4 to permit the construction of a storage shed for the pool within the 100-foot front yard setback. The applicant also requests an interpretation that the parking requirements need no relief as they constitute the reduction of an existing nonconformity, and that applicant is increasing the number of available parking from 255 to 270. Property zone INS Institutional District and located in the Second Ward.
Mr. Chairman, I just want
Yes.
to reiterate for the record, as I mentioned in the last hearing, I am a member of the club, and so I am going to recuse myself from this case.
Okay. Jim?
Thank you. Mr. Board, please, my name is Jim Byrne, and I represent Lanner Country Club here tonight. You'll remember we were here last month, and we're here for quite a long time. It was, the board gave us every courtesy and stayed till after midnight on and heard us, but we didn't finish everything. But we did learn a lot from your questions and comments the other night, and we would like to make a few little changes to our application if we could. First would be the utility shed that we talked about, which we would need a variance for. The utility shed was going to be in the setback area. We have decided that it's probably not a good idea to go forward with that, and we'll find another place for our utility shed. So we will not be seeking a variance with respect to that. Okay. Then there was a question that came up, and it was a good question, as to the trash enclosure. And the trash enclosure, we were going to move over more onto Manoa Road, which probably would bring it a little closer to neighbors than it is, probably a lot closer to neighbors than it is now. And there was some concern about that. And so we've decided that we're going to leave the trash enclosure in the general vicinity where it is now. It's not exactly where it is. It's a non-conformity right now. We're probably going to expand that a little bit and we had planned to put a new enclosure around that facility, but if the board thought it was better that we just, instead of putting a fence or something other than a fence or a cinder block wall, we can leave that just surrounded by trees. So that leaves us really with the variance for the parking, which is kind of an odd variance because the parking is being added instead of subtracted. So with the changes to the trash enclosure, we would lose 3 spots. So instead of gaining 15, we would have 12 more. When I was here when we were here last week or last month, we had put up a JPEG that had some documents on it that we didn't have copies for the board and didn't have it documented. I have given a copy of all the documents to Mr. DiGazio. 14. Okay, so 14 spaces are being added, is what I'm told, not everyone gets one of them, yeah. So what I'm handing up to you is the exhibits that we already saw at the last meeting on the JPEG and that Mr. Bannon had referred to some. Not that we're going to use them tonight. Tonight we'll have very brief testimony. And if I could start, I'll do it now because it looks like you have a big crowd here, okay? So can I start my presentation?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I would first call John Giangiulio. Yeah, well, he was sworn in. Do you want to swear him in
Yeah, I
again?
think you were sworn at the last hearing, John, but I'll swear you again, just in abundance of caution. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Your full name and the capacity in which you appear for the board, please.
John P. Giangiulio Jr., that's spelled Giangiulio. I am the president of Lanark Country Club.
Mr. Giangiulio, you were here for the entire presentation the last time, is that correct?
That's right.
And during that time, we made the application and heard all the comments from the board, correct?
Yes.
In fact, the board was courteous enough to sit till almost 12:15 at night with us at night, right?
Yeah, they're very kind with their time.
Yeah, so, and we heard what they had to say with respect to the utility shed. Am I right about that?
Yes.
And am I right that we figured out a way that we're not going to need to either not use that utility shed now or find a place where it can fit on the property within the confines of the zoning ordinance?
We're going to find a location within the pool area that we'll still be able to drop a new storage shed in there, but it won't be in the setback zone.
Okay. And with respect to, and the board was okay with that, correct? Your board's okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. So we would ask that our amendment be, our application be amended to reflect that. With respect to the trash enclosure, we had that located more along Manoa Road, is that right? We moved it?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, there is a trash enclosure existing now, correct?
That's right.
And where is that located now?
That is essentially at the corner of Manoa Road and Westchester Pike, which is our true and only commercial corner. Every other boundary we have is bounded by a residential area.
Okay. And have we taken a look to see where if we can make some changes to the trash enclosure and keep it in the same general vicinity?
Yes, we have.
Okay. And have we reduced that to a plan?
Yes, we have that on a schematic. We have that laid out on a schematic.
The trash enclosure?
Yes. Yes. I see Jim scan. Yeah, I just grabbed. Yeah.
Unclear.
Okay.
And we have marked that plan as Exhibit A6, correct?
Yes.
Do you have hard copies of that, Jim?
We do, yes. Wrong spot, so I couldn't find them. I'm going to show you what I've had marked as Exhibit A6. And ask you if you recognize that.
I do recognize Exhibit A6.
And could you tell us what it is, please?
This is a bird's eye view looking down at the corner of the road connections of South Manoa Road and Westchester Pike.
And the plan that you have in front of you, A6, is the same that Mr. Bannon just placed in front of you now, showing the changes, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. How close is the, and I don't want to get into exact measurements, I can do that with Mr. Bannon, but is it in the same general vicinity as the enclosure would be, is existing now?
Yes.
Okay. And the purpose of the, doing anything to the trash enclosure is to bring it more up to modern standards, correct?
Yes.
Expand it a little bit,
Yes.
and also we have to keep it where it is as a result of all the internal traffic movements we were talking about before. And again, I'll get Mr. Bannon to go through this, but am I correct with that?
Those are all correct statements, as well as consideration for the neighbors.
Right.
It's the commercial corner, it's the farthest point away from the homes, the trucks come in and come out. It's going to be something that doesn't disturb somebody across the street on Manoa Road.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the swimming pool. And it was getting very late the other night when we were here. It was probably at 11:15, 11:30. I don't know that, and I'll take the heat for it, that the explanation came out all that well. When we are going to replace the swimming pool, where is it going to be? The same general area as the pool exists now?
It's in the same spot where the pool is, just not the same boundaries. It's been turned about 30 degrees.
Okay. And what is the purpose of replacing the pool?
It's part of the three main points of this entire project are to replace our existing infrastructure that is extremely dated. The pool is 70 years old. And if we're going to do all that work, we might as well address several other key points, which is the safety on the campus and enhance the facilities if we're going to spend all this replacement money.
So the pool as it exists now has swimming, like competition lanes, correct?
Yes,
And it also has a swimming area, correct?
it has 6 competition lanes, diving well, and what we call a baby pool.
Right, okay. And the baby pool is actually separate from the other pool, correct? The adult pool?
It is.
Okay. Now, let's take an example if on a Sunday afternoon or something, a fat guy like me wants to get in the pool, fat older guy like me wants to get in the pool. How do I get into the pool?
Oh, well, our pool, because it was done 70 years ago, you really only have 2 ways to get into it unless you use the handicap elevator. You have to back down a ladder or you have to jump in.
Now, the new pool, how would the entrance and egress be from there?
So part of this design for enhance and increase our safety over there was a large expansion of this pool in order to allow for a 0 entry area into the pool. So now you go from 0 water and you walk your way into a foot and a half, and then you get to a few steps and you step down further. And that has a great expansion impact on the size of the surface area of the pool.
Okay, and again, I'll ask Mr. Bannon some more of these questions. We have another document to talk about it, but as you go into the pool, the water is virtually inches or a foot deep, correct?
Yes, that's the 0 entry design.
Okay, so we're not going to be adding more, it's not like we're adding more swimming area, correct? I mean,
No, that area is so shallow, it's for kids to play in and for people to walk down.
Okay. There are swimming lanes where the competitions take place, correct?
Right, and we're not expanding those.
They're going to be virtually the same?
They are.
Okay, all right, and,
We are going to expand the diving well because code requires the diving well to be slightly bigger than it is today.
and we talked a little bit about the trash enclosure, where it is now. We want to expand that a little, correct?
Right.
And that's because the needs have just gotten greater with respect to trash, is that right?
It's just, it goes from 2 containers to 3,
Okay,
simply the volume of trash.
okay. And you heard the board pretty clearly and the neighbors about maintaining that, the tree buffer zone around that enclosure, is that right?
We did, and we want to maintain that so people don't look in and we don't look out, and there's beautification all around that area.
Okay. And where the trash enclosure is now is in the setback area now already, right?
Yes,
So what we would be doing is adding a little bit more into that setback area.
correct.
What about the trees that are there? There are some significant trees there, correct?
Right, and we want to maintain those and quite frankly, add to them.
Okay. And that, and with respect to, there was a lot of questions the last time about what would the trash enclosure be constructed of? And what's our feeling at this point?
Well, if it's just easier to have us put landscaping around it, we'll do that instead of building any kind of construct around it or anything that would be affixed to the ground. We'll put natural shrubs and trees around it.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you. Board have any questions?
Jesse?
Would you put a fence and a gate around it to keep anybody from illegally dumping?
We could, but I think that if we do that, Mr. Poyton, it will require variance because that's considered a structure.
Or how about, like, would you do a fence screening with, like, the privacy slats in it? Is that an option?
But we're open to that being if that's something that the board would like us to create.
Yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mike.
As I understand it, there's no request for variance with regards to the swimming pool.
There is no request for variance on the swimming pool.
So 10 minutes are time. All right, that's no, and the last time that you were here, I believe that you testified that there's going to be a food and beverage building for the people who are using the pool area.
That's correct.
Is that shown on Exhibit A6?
It is.
Where is that?
It's a structure that appears south of the pool in the layout.
All right, so there's no structure there now. This is going to be a new structure. Is that right?
Yes.
Thank you. No further questions.
All right, Jessica, do you have any questions?
I just had a question about trash pickup in the new location. Is there adequate space in the new parking layout for the truck to come in, turn around, and get out?
And that was why the corner works well, because those trucks need to be able to turn at the correct angles and being able to back up. We lose one parking spot in this redesign in order to accommodate that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I have no questions. Thank you.
Call my next witness.
Sure.
I call Jim Bannon, please.
And Jim, I swore you at the last hearing as well, right? I remember your testimony. All right, Jimmy.
Okay. Mr. Bannon, you're a civil engineer, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And you were here for the entire hearing the last time, correct?
yes,
And you heard the questions from the board, the question from Mr. Ignazio, and some of the public. Is that correct?
correct.
And we met after that hearing, between now and then, to discuss the application here, correct?
Yes,
Okay. And as a result of our meeting, did we discuss eliminating the utility shed that we were originally asking?
we did, and that's no longer shown on the exhibit that was handed out tonight.
Okay. So I want to show you, and did you create a revised plan? The last plan I think was marked as A4, it might have been, but did you create a revised plan?
Yes, we did.
Okay, and I want to show you what I have marked, and it's a little more. It's with there, Exhibit A6. Did you prepare that plan?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and can you tell us what the changes are on that plan from the plan that accompanied the application?
So I think they've all been hit on so far. We removed the storage shed that was originally shown 92 feet off of Manoa Road, so we wouldn't need relief for being within the 100-foot front yard. So we're no longer requesting relief from 182, 602C4. As was testified, we also moved the trash enclosure to the corner of Manoa Road and Westchester Pike, close to where it is now. We heard neighbors' concerns at the last meeting about removing trees where we were proposing it, even though we were not proposing to remove trees, but that just got us considering the neighbors more, and the club decided it would be a good move to keep the trash as far away from the residences as possible. So they moved it up to, returned it to where it is now, basically.
And this plan that we have here is really a replica of the plan we had with the application with those exceptions, correct?
It is.
Okay. And did you do some study on where the location of the trash receptacle would be on A6 with respect to turning radiuses and other things that board members, including Mrs. Vitale,
Yes. And unfortunately, this plan is not super clear because it was scanned in as an exhibit, but the hard copies, I believe, show it better. The intent would be for the trash trucks to come in off of Manoa, and then they can essentially come right into the dumpsters. There was a landscaped area in this area where I'm moving the mouse, which you can't see between the two parking areas. That's now just going to be asphalt and striped, so there's no parking there. And that gives the truck more room to maneuver as it needs to.
okay. How about the trees that surround the dumpster? Will they remain on the street, between the street and the dumpster?
Along the Westchester Pike side. So I'll go back to one of the exhibits from last meeting.
This was included in Exhibit A5 that we had on a,
Yes.
but not marked exhibits, correct?
So along Manoa Road, you can see the screening here. That's only about an 8-foot buffer, but it really serves the purpose. They're full-grown arborvitae. It blocks headlights, traffic noise, and visibility into the campus.
Okay.
This
And Jim,
area,
this is
right at the
one of
corner,
the-
is where the dumpster's going.
This is one of the pages inside what you've marked A5.
A5, correct.
Yeah, it's just a zoomed-in aerial image of the club. Where the dumpster is going, we shouldn't have to remove any additional trees. We did request relief from the 30-foot buffer along Westchester Pike for the parking spaces that will be in that area, and we are still requesting that. They haven't changed from the original submission.
Okay. I'm going to show you an additional exhibit or two that we had created for tonight to see if it can help you to explain any of this. And maybe we could bring this up, Jamie, I don't know if we do that or what, A8 and A9 is what I'm going to refer to. So here's A8. Let me give you A9 as well. I have to give to Mr. Ignazio also, okay?
So again, if we go back to the aerial,
Jim, hold on one second.
Yeah. Jim, he's got to identify him and submit him for the record.
All right, if I could pass this up. And first I'm going to ask you to take a look at A8. And we have that up on the screen? And bring it up.
just to give context, this is the existing trash area.
Okay.
So that is the photos we're looking at here is looking,
Okay, so tell me what A8 is.
this is the existing trash enclosure on the property.
Okay. And what is that tree line in back?
So the corner, right at the corner is basically the left side of this photo. So what we're looking at would be an angle along the Westchester Pike side.
Okay, and what's the purpose of us showing this exhibit to the board and the members of the public?
I think it shows the existing buffer, how on the left side, it's, like I said, about 8 feet from the parking, but it still does a good job of screening the campus.
And exhibit A9, I'm going to show you that, one of those, okay, as well? Did I already give you one?
Jim, what was 7?
We didn't get to 7, I skipped over.
Okay.
Kind of put them in number order and then you get out of order, so.
No worries. I just want to make sure I didn't miss it. Jim?
Mark this. That was an extra one, that is marked.
Okay.
A6. The pool one's A7, yeah, I'll get back to that. I'll get back to that. Yeah, I'll get
Okay.
back to that. The revised plan is A6. But we're gonna get through some about the pool, which are A7-1 and A7. I think Mr. Bannon just brought some bigger plans that are better for your eyes or everybody's eyes. Okay, so tell us what A9 is and what it is.
So it's just a different view, closer to the trash enclosure. This would be looking basically right at Westchester Pike.
Okay, and can we, you're referring to an enclosure, can we construct that either as a fence or a cinder block enclosure or a landscaped enclosure? Are we willing to do all of that? Either of them?
Yes,
Okay. And as a structure that goes into the ground, we would need zoning relief for that, correct?
yes, if it's a structure permanently affixed to the ground, it would need to meet the setback, so we would need relief for being within the 100-foot setback along Westchester Pike.
Okay, but if we just put landscaping there and we put the trash bins there, like create a box with landscaping, put the trash bins within that box, then we would not need a variance.
I was not able to find anything in the zoning saldo or the design guidance documents that require the fence, so yes, we would be able to do that.
All right, and let's talk a little bit about the swimming pool, okay? Now, you have studied the swimming pool a little more, correct? Since we were last year?
Yes.
And let me ask you first if you could identify what I had marked as A71, and if we could bring that up on the.
And hard copies were already handed to the
I'm
board.
going to hand them the actual marked hard copies, 'cause it's hard for them to follow without for anyone to follow. Okay. Can you take a look at Exhibit A71 and tell me what it is? Could you tell us, could you identify what A71 is?
Yes, it's a plan view of the revised pool,
Okay, and of the proposed pool, correct?
the proposed pool, yes,
Okay, and the old pool is 70 years old, I think we already established that, right?
yes,
So this new pool will be built to 2024, 2025 standards, correct?
yes,
And we would abide by all the regulations of the township with respect to that pool, correct?
yes, we would have to for building permits.
Okay. And I want to show you another exhibit, which is A72, because I'm going to ask you to talk about these together, okay? You recognize A72,
I do.
and what is A72?
So these are sections of the new pool.
Okay? And what is the purpose of showing the sections of the new pool?
I think it speaks to what you and Mr. Giangilio spoke to already. The bottom two specifically, the bottom two sections. On the right hand of the bottom one, you can see an area that's essentially just a splash zone for kids. The water's about 1.5 feet deep. I did not prepare these plans, but I have reviewed them.
Would you review them, correct?
Yes. So you can see that there, and the one above it, you can also see a slightly shallower area. And you can also see stairs on the top section, which make the entry obviously easier than having to back down the ladder that's there now.
Okay, so the area that would be entryway and
exit is really not designed for swimming for adults. Is that right?
Correct.
And
Yeah,
not
the
even
water's,
for young
the water's a
kids?
foot and a half deep at the deepest.
And we do not have that in our current pool, right?
Correct. There is a separate kiddie pool, but it's not this level of detail.
Okay, so we would be eliminating the kiddie pool, is that right?
Correct. Everything is combined into this one pool now.
Okay. And as Mr. Giangiulio said, the swimming lanes would be, the competition swimming lanes would be the same measurements as they are today, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And that's dictated by the local swimming rules. Right?
Yes.
All right, that's all I have, thank you.
Mike, you have questions?
There's no application for a variance with regards to anything which is shown on Exhibit A72. Is that correct?
There's no variance associated with the pool, correct?
Okay. Another 10 minutes, all right. Could you put up A9? In your professional opinion, that 8-foot buffer that's displayed on that exhibit, that's sufficient to prevent errant golf balls coming through that 8-foot buffer? Is that what your testimony is?
No, that's not my testimony. This is not part of the golf course. This is, if I can refer to the overall aerial plan.
I understand, but with regards to the testimony last month, this area to the right is a 30-foot setback that you're saying can be cut back to 10 feet because that's the amount of buffer we have on Manoa Road.
Correct. We request to match what's there on the other road.
Okay,
This area is not part of the active golf course. No one's hitting golf balls in this area.
not in this area, not in the pool area, but over here,
Well, we're not doing, the only relief we're requesting is, there's an existing buffer along Westchester Pike. We're requesting to reduce that to match what's on Manoa, but we're not proposing anything beyond the entrance drive. It's only,
despite this green, you see this green here?
yes,
That's the 9th hole, right?
yes.
And that's a par 5. So people are have 5 shots to get onto that green, and some people are overshooting, and you want to cut down the 30-foot of buffer for those overshots, if I can call that. I'm not a golfer, but they would be overshots, because that's what's over on Manoa Road. Is that right?
I object to that motion.
What is that?
There's shade trees. There's no
When-
safety netting
Once
in
he
that area.
objects, stop talking.
All right,
Dan.
what's your objection?
I object to the relevance of that question. I mean, this is the green. It's not, those trees are not meant as any protection for the, for the, anything that has to do with golf.
Visual,
I mean,
but-
what
All right,
is,
Mike, if you could tell
I
us the
could
relevance of the question.
can I finish?
The rel-
my
I'm
objection?
sorry.
I'm sorry. My objection is the same objection we had in the start. Mr. Ignazio's client lives further down along the 9th hole and is complaining about balls going into the other side and complaining so bad that he has a lawsuit against this. This
Successfully so
here has no bearing to what we have here before us.
The bearing is,
Nobody's going to be shooting
are you
golf
done yet?
balls over.
Yes, they are.
They're not going to be putting in the opposite direction.
putting.
On the west,
Not-
no, they're
not
not going to
putting.
be, they're not going to be chipping on the Westchester Pike from a putting green.
Not from a
Whether
putting
you play
green.
golf or not,
Um,
you know that, you got it.
No, but I know, you're saying that nobody at Lancaster Golf Club overshoots the 9th green. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying, is nobody's going to be taking a shot that would be that errant. I bet you that it's never, ever happened. And if it did.
And how
the
many,
green would stop.
how many errant
At first-
shots? I mean, the point being, it's a par 5. That green that's on that exhibit before you. The point is, there's many people that overshoot that green on 5 strokes to get there because
And I'd object to that.
All right, well,
With facts, not in evidence.
an overrule the objection, but the board will, consider the relevance.
All right, so to complete the relevance, there's going to be golfers who are striking their second or third or fourth shot to that green. It's on that picture, and they're going to overshoot it. And they're going to overshoot it into that area where it's a 30-foot setback. This,
Move that that be stricken. There's no.
let me finish.
Well,
Let
I'm
me
trying to
finish.
let you finish, but you're testifying. You want to testify or where? You want to testify? I'll-
All right, well, I'll wait, we'll put it in.
All right then.
That's the board has questions.
Yep, Jesse.
So looking at exhibits A8 and A9, if you could bring those up, can you point to any specific trees that would be removed per anything that is being discussed before the board tonight?
Trees that will be removed.
Yeah.
So A9, there should not be any from this view, which is looking towards the intersection. A8, none would need to be removed for the trash enclosure, but the other relief we're seeking for decreasing the 30-foot buffer, some of the bigger shade trees on the right side, there's a chance. None of the arborvitae along the fence along Westchester Pike are proposed to be removed.
Could you estimate the height of the arborvitae? Just within 5 feet either way? 20 feet, 25 feet, 15 feet? If you had to guess, your professional opinion.
So this is the view of the arborvitae along Westchester Pike. They're higher than the streetlights, perhaps 25, 30 feet.
And to be super clear, none of those are proposed to be removed by this work, right?
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
Jessica?
I don't have any questions.
Neither do I.
Jim, what was the exhibit we just referred to that's on the screen now?
That is a part of the package of A5.
A5. Okay, so we were looking at a photo A5 of the arborvitae along Westchester Pike,
Correct.
and none of those trees, the arborvitae in this picture, are proposed to be removed.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Right, Mr. Beck?
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, we would close our case. I would move for the admission of, I put together an exhibit slip, because we did try and use as best we could last time on that. Try and clear that up.
And Jim, so will A6 supersede page 1 of the A5 packet?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, Mike?
We would call Robert Denizio.
Hey, Robert.
Want to hand them up?
Did I swear you at the last hearing, Robert?
No, I was not.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay. Your full name and address for the record?
Robert Andrew Dignazio, 606 Country Club Lane, Haverford Town.
We have some hand-ups you've already shown to council.
Thank you.
What you just handed up to council will put as exhibit
Well, why don't we use P for protestant?
P1,
I'll
fine,
make it P1.
yes. Now, the first two, what does the first page depict, Bob?
So I'll start by saying the first 2 pages are 2 treatises, which are golf course architecture industry basics regarding golf hole layout, bordering property lines. I'll quickly review these to provide the context of my safety concerns as a party to this application and as a budding resident on Country Club Lane.
Unless he's,
Yeah, it's about,
excuse me, unless he qualifies as an expert, then I don't think he can interpret learned treatises.
You can in a hearing.
So if he
can
can
in a hearing.
qualify as a golf expert, then still don't think it's relevant, but at least he would have a basis for doing it.
The point being that merely because he's a party of record, which he is at this point, you can accept this as public statement, public comment. He doesn't surrender his ability to make public comment merely because he's a party before you.
All right, well, he can obviously testify, but he can't testify to any expertise in this area.
Correct.
I'm not putting him up for that basis.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
Okay. So on page 1, you'll see a republished diagram that illustrates basic golf safety metrics. This was originally published by Michael Herdzin. Dr. Herdzin is the past president of the American Society of Golf Course Architects. So this illustrates 4 basic golf safety metrics or ideas. There's a lot going on. If you're looking at page 1 here, I'll point to the bottom right. It says 150 feet minimum distance allowed from the golf hole center line, which is essentially the middle of a fairway and a tee, basically where golfers aim, to an abutting property line. This will allow for adequate safety buffer. You'll also notice in the top right, it notes 50-foot building setback line from the property line to additional buildings or structures. The second page, page 2 here, is a publication, table published by R&A, which is an international golf organization. It shows that golf course architects from 1975 to 2018, and I presume till today, have recommended not 150 feet minimum between the fairway center line or hole and property line, but actually between 175 and 200 feet, and notes that, quote, "The choice of safety margins has a strong influence on the footprint of the golf course." So we're looking at basically 200 feet as a safety distance from a target to a bordering space.
Robert, when was this published, do you know? 1996, is that right?
This is 2018, so I got to believe it was between 2018 and 2023. I actually do have a copy, if you'd like. This is the full chapter of page 1. This is the full publication of page 2.
All right,
Now, wait.
If I could just, I don't want to keep interrupting him, I just. But you are. Well, I am, because.
He's allowed to interpose objections, so-
Irrelevant evidence, so it's irrelevant evidence beyond the scope of what this.
Can I explain it?
Is capable to testify to, and, I don't want to keep up and down interrupting, but he keeps doing it, I will, but.
He's making a public statement. He's not giving testimony as an
Okay,
expert.
then it's
He's
not
making
evidence.
a public
Mark it as
statement.
All right, it's pretty.
He's got to mark it as an
That's
exhibit.
what they
If it doesn't add to
previously
this.
decided.
can accept it as information, not as any authoritative
Correct.
dissertation,
Public statement.
and the board will give it the
And
weight it
I
should.
agree with you, and I'm not trying to give you a hard time, but he just handed up another whole document that I didn't see, and I just. that's
It
what I
wasn't,
wanted.
it wasn't marked or identified for
Yeah,
the record, Jim, so I handed it
Okay.
back to him.
Right.
And if
you know,
Mike wants to
I
mark
don't want
it,
to keep objecting, I just want to know that.
you have to protect the record, Jim, and we understand that. So you're not bothering us by objecting. So object as you see fit.
Okay, so I'll note, this is in regards to the variance of to the 30-foot buffer that's been proposed or applied for along State Route 3, Westchester Pike. So, on page 3,
I object to Mr. Ignazio's not allowed to testify.
I'm saying the relevant,
Well, he just said go right to it, he's talking to the witness while he's testifying.
All right, what does on page
This is-
3, Bob?
okay, on
that
page
better?
3,
It's better.
Good.
on page 3, this shows the distance from the tee, from the hole where golfers are aiming on the 9th hole, Lanark Country Club. It's 150 feet to the area that is being proposed to be added, to be installed pavement, a parking lot that's north of this tennis court, in between the tennis court and Route 3. I know, you may know that golf balls are designed to land on grass, not pavement. So this grass will be converted to pavement for a parking lot, and this 30-foot buffer will be reduced to an 8-foot buffer, and some of the tallest trees will be removed. That's what's been applied for.
This is expert testimony again.
It's what's been
All
applied
right,
for.
once again, he's given his opinion, that the board is not taking this as expert testimony, and it's up to the board to decide what weight to give this type of testimony.
So I'll repeat that the space in between the tennis court and Pennsylvania State Route 3 is being converted from grass, or is being proposed to be moved from grass to pavement. And the buffer has been proposed to be moved from a 30-foot conforming buffer to an 8-foot non-conforming buffer. That's what's been applied for. Also, you'll see if you go to page 4 now, the buffer along Manoa Road has been compared to, in past testimony, to the proposed buffer along Route 3. You'll see that from a golf course safety perspective, it's an apples to oranges comparison, because you'll see the third tee here on the left at the top of page 4. That's a tee that hits away from Manoa Road. Then to the right of that is the first tee that hits away from Manoa Road. So there are 2 tees along Manoa Road which hit away from Manoa Road, so no golfers.
What's the relevance
Because the ninth,
variance request?
because the ninth tee is to the right, there's going to be pavement installed, and this variance, it's a 30-foot variance request of the buffer along Route 3. Balls, you'll see here is the ninth hole, balls are moving, I put a green arrow there, balls are moving towards this buffer. So we're talking about a much thinner buffer with pavement in between the tennis court and a state road. I live on Country Club Lane. The 600 block is a one-way street. So anyone exiting driveways have to go out on Westchester Pike. There's no other way to get out of my house. I have to go north on Country Club Lane and on a Westchester Pike. So I'm sure there'll be objections to the 5th page, but that's an example of a safe golf hole. The distance from that center line is 220 feet to Route 1. We're talking about 150 feet, much less, along Route 3. So as a party to this, someone who comes out of his house, has to go on to Route 3, it seems to me from my experience living near the ninth hole that balls will be exiting the golf course onto Pennsylvania State Route 3, and I believe that's a safety. Should be a major safety concern for this board, the township, and certainly myself as a homeowner and resident.
And Bob, when did you buy your house?
When did I buy my house?
Yeah, when did you move there?
2019, early 2019. I moved in Memorial Day, the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend, I believe 2019.
That's okay, just 2019 is good.
At the time that the golf club was shut down for all the renovations that it had been doing on its previous redesign of the entire 18 holes.
Okay.
So at the time that he moved in, there was no golf activity there.
Tim,
So,
you have cross?
yeah, I do. If I could, please. So, Mr. DeGazio,
Sure.
you are the plaintiff in a lawsuit against
Oh, I
a
object.
country club,
I
correct?
object. I object.
Let's hear your objection.
It's the same objection he raised last month when I wanted to get into the litigation that was, and this board granted his objection. Of course, it was Mr. Angelos, who was the solicitor at that time.
I'll withdraw that question.
Good.
You're not a golf expert, correct?
No, I've never played around a golf.
You've never played around the golf.
Nope.
Do you know that you're not allowed to hit golf balls off the green, chip golf balls?
Chip. I don't know anything about the golf rules.
Do you know what a chip is?
I don't know how that's relevant. Yes, I know what a chip is.
What is
I've
it?
seen golf on television
Okay, and what is a chip?
since moving in. It's a hit of a, am I an expert witness?
He's asking you a question.
Hey, so
He's asking you a question.
And
A
if,
chip,
now,
I
if you don't know,
think,
if you don't
I
know,
think,
say you don't know. That's okay.
I think a chip is a hit of a golf ball, not a drive and not a putt.
And do you
It's,
know
you're
that
not
it's
hitting off the tee and you're not putting it in, you're chipping.
And do
I don't know how to
It's
chip,
not permissible to chip off a putting green.
It's not a question of
No.
objection. His
I'll show-
testimony was, it's not not hitting a ball off a green, it's hitting a ball from a five-par course, five-par hole, hitting it toward the green.
So if you look at page 6,
Hold on, let me ask my
Bob, everybody just calm down. He gets an opportunity to
can I
ask you
answer
questions.
the question?
So he asked you if you know what a chip is, and
And then he asked, did I know if, what was your question?
Well, I got a new question for you.
Okay.
So if you were talking, your lawyer's talking about a par five.
Yes.
So on the first shot, there is no way that anybody in the world can reach that green, is there?
Correct, and I'm not saying that.
Okay.
So if you
And
look
on
at,
the second shot, there's no way that most golfers can reach that.
Any golfers
Correct.
at your club, you mean?
At any club.
Oh, okay.
I'm not an
My
expert,
club
but
would
I would
like
say
to-
likely not. I have,
Hitting off the green.
Can I answer the question?
Striking the ball
No,
toward the green.
can I answer the question
Mike.
past yes or no?
you just, all right. You guys know the process here. So
Can I
he has
answer
to
the-
ask you a question. Answer the question. if
Okay,
you know
I'm
the
going to
answer.
answer the question.
Okay.
Page 6, which I've provided, shows the full length of, and I believe it was on one of your exhibits as well, but shows the full length of the ninth hole. It's a par 5, which means it's a longer, par 5 is a longer hole than a par 3 or a par 4. I know that. So I'm not saying that people would be chipping off the green onto Westchester Pike or past the hole or onto that proposed parking lot. I'm saying that people, golfers, will likely to approach the green. You have to get the ball onto the green, you have to hit presumably from the fairway. So if someone's hitting from the fairway, aiming at the green, they could overhit, and there's much less of a buffer, and now there's a parking lot in between, within 150 feet of the hole, which according to the former president of the American Golf Course,
Okay, we
You know,
don't need that type of
the
testimony.
treaties.
Is it fair
It's
to
on-
say you have raised safety concerns, and that is your main concern?
yes, sir.
That's right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jesse?
Have you ever seen a golf ball leave the course and enter Route 3?
I've seen a golf ball leave their property. I've not seen a golf ball leave Route 3.
So your previous testimony was that your main concern is that you have one way to exit your street. You're gonna drive onto Westchester Pike. Your concern is that with a reduced buffer, a golf ball could potentially now leave the course of play and hit you or somebody else in the public. That's your main concern?
I've witnessed many golf balls leave the property line and enter Country Club Lane. I have concerns that balls now with less of a buffer and the new parking lot will leave the property and enter Westchester, State Route 3, Westchester Pike.
Thank you. No other questions?
Jessica?
I actually have a question for John that's related to this testimony. John, I know that you're adding parking spaces as part of this project. Would you be amenable to decreasing the number of parking spaces you're adding in that area by, say, 6 spaces to create more of a grass zone by the tennis courts?
So we have over 100 acres of grass at the property today.
Yeah.
What we have very little of is little space to work around this portion of our property. We came in here trying to up our parking spaces, thinking that the township would want us to reduce the nonconformity. So if your suggestion is that if we would lose half a dozen, would be opposed to that, the answer is no.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question then regarding
Right.
your question.
So, hold on. Do you have any other questions for
I don't have
Bob?
any other questions.
Jesse, do you have any other questions for Bob?
No.
And neither do I. So,
Okay.
Jim, you're done?
I'm done.
And you have no
Just one question.
additional
before I-
Bob?
Yeah,
You can go
I'm
have a
done.
seat, Bob.
Okay. Last month, I believe someone on your side testified that there was a meeting before the Township Planning Commission regarding your application. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that leads me to believe that there's going to be an application made to the governing body under the land development ordinance. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's still going to occur?
Yes. I would object to that. I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily correct.
He's your witness.
He's my witness, and you're asking him questions that I'm objecting to. He's not a legal expert.
He's not your
I do not believe there's
witness.
land development requirement needed, and it's not relevant to this proceeding.
It is. It is.
It isn't relevant to this proceeding.
It is.
If we have to go.
I
to land
don't
development,
think
we'll
it's
go to it.
relevant, and he wasn't asked that on direct. You didn't call him as your witness,
No,
so
but as a result of the questions
I'm inclined to
was
strike that.
presented by
I would ask that you do.
Ms. Vitale, that
those
went here.
answers-
So can we have a statement now before?
those
everyone-
answers are stricken, and that's it. So I have one question for you, John. When was the golf club opened?
Golf course has been operating since 1901.
Okay, thank you.
Before you
That's
step down, have you ever heard of a golf ball leaving the ninth hole and entering Westchester Pike?
No, Mr. Quinton, I'm not.
How long have you been with the course?
30 years this year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Mike, do you have any other witnesses?
No, we don't, we can rest.
You want to move for the admission of your
We'll move
exhibit?
Yeah, just the first.
P1?
P1, fine.
Do you have any objections to the
Subject to
admission?
the objection that I already posed.
We're going to accept it for what it is. You want to move for the admission of your exhibits, Jim?
I thought I did, but if I didn't, I did.
Just so we're clear.
Yeah, just to be sure.
Like A1 through A9?
Nine.
Okay, and I don't hear an objection from Mike, so they're admitted. Anything else you want to add?
The only thing with that, I know you have a big agenda here. We were here for a lot of hours last month.
That's okay.
And in order to get the pool into the ground, we need to get bids out and things so that we can have the pool for next year. So if the board has any way to make a decision tonight, at least with respect to the pool portion of the application.
Well, the pool's not really subject to any of the variance requests, right?
Right. Well, unless Mr. McGargy had brought up some parking issues. I don't think they are. It is, but yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
we'll try, but you see the room.
Okay.
So it's
I
not
understand. I
likely.
understand. Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Anything else? Jesse? With that, we'll close the record on this case, and the decision will be rendered either this evening. If we're unable to render a decision this evening, one will be rendered at our next regularly scheduled meeting. And when I drag it out, I'm like asking one of my cohorts up here to give me the date at
September 5th.
5th, September 5th. All right, we're going to take 5-minute break. Son and owner of 700 Haverford Road, Bryn Mawr, PA, DC folio number 2205-0037800, who seeks variances from section 182-403B1 to allow the use of the property as a vehicle refueling facility with a convenience store. Section 182-708A1 to allow a loading and unloading space in front of the building. Section 182-707B to provide 6 off-street parking spaces when 7 is required. Section 182-701E1B1 to permit the total sign area to be 140.2 square feet, where a maximum of 105 square feet is permitted. Section 182-701E1B2C to permit a freestanding sign with an area of 107 square feet when a maximum of 25 square feet is permitted. Section 182-701B4 to permit green LED lights to display diesel fuel pricing rather than red. This case is back before us on a remand from Common Pleas Court to accept additional testimony as a supplement to the existing transcript and exhibits. So we have,
Good evening, Bernadette Kearney from Hamburg Reuben.
and I understand we have another attorney representing.
Mind if I stand here so I can get the,
Sure.
thank you. Michael Yanoff of Goldstein Law Partners, representing a number of people and the Brynford Civic Association, and I can give you the list of those people if you wish.
Oh, good.
And, Sean?
And do you have a list, Michael?
I have a list. Unfortunately, I didn't print it. I can send it to you. I thought that I had printed it, but I didn't, but I can read it to you for the record if you wish.
I don't know if that's what Ernie gave me.
Is this the list? Ernie gave a list of,
Yeah, I think, yeah, there's one addition to this.
okay, would you write it, just write it on there, Mike? Yeah.
Lauren and. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay, so any preliminary matters that the board needs to address before we get started?
Can I just briefly
Sure.
explain? So Bernadette Kearney, Annie Neiman had been the attorney before you, it was actually in August of last year. There was an appeal, and as the chair had indicated, this is a matter on remand. One of the issues that had come up, and I think Mr. Yanoff will agree with me, is how party status was handled. So I do have to object to anybody who wants party status that is not within a certain distance of the property, in order to make sure that we are doing this correctly, and that if, should it go up on appeal again, that has been established. I think one of the issues was, it came down to, and at the trial court level, was party status.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, members of the
Yes.
board, sir, the order of March 1, 2024 by Judge Dozer of the Court of Common Pleas of Delaware County identified a certain number of people who already have standing. And I can read that portion of the order, I can make that part of the record as well. The court said, "It is hereby ordered and decreed that the zoning hearing board shall, 1, conduct a supplemental hearing, and 2, complete the record by, inter alia, granting appellants formal party status. The appellants in that case were the Brentford Civic Association, Doreen Starr, S-A-A-R, Cecilia Dunlap, Joshua Dupuis, D-U-P-I-S, Diane Drentlaw, D-R-E-N-T-L-A-W, and Deborah Morley. Those were the named appellants. And as I read this order, those parties as appellants were granted party status by the court's order of March 1, 2024, and I can hand that order up to the board for review.
And although that order states that, it doesn't preclude me from objecting to party status. They have party status before the zoning hearing board. There's two types of status, one before the zoning hearing board and who has the right to appeal. In order for me to preserve the right of the applicant to raise that issue, I must object at this level. So although I agree that that's what that says, I still have the right to object to their party status, so I can make that argument at the trial court should it go that far.
I agree.
Yeah.
So how would you like to proceed with this? We
I-
have the list here, and you went so fast, Michael, I didn't note which ones were included in the order. You gave me a copy of the order. Do you have a copy? This
Yeah,
list?
I do have a copy of that, and I have those highlighted also, that the ones the judge had indicated had party status. I believe they're numbers 1, 19, 20, 21, and 22, and I apologize, and 14.
I
1, 14, 19, 21, 22, and 23?
No, I'm sorry, 1, 14, 19, 20, 21, and 22.
Okay, and there's a 23rd, who presumably is not,
she was not,
Not-
those two combatants were not part of the record report.
okay,
And were not part of the original proceeding. For the record,
yeah,
I respectfully disagree with the board's ruling. I think the court order is plain on its face, and it says that those parties were conferred standing. And the only thing that the judge was talking about was standing before the zoning hearing board, not standing before the Court of Common Pleas. Because as Ms. Kearney has said, The issue before the court was whether or not this board allowed individuals to be appointed party status at the previous proceeding. That was really the issue that was raised.
Right, but I think
But-
what Bernadette's saying is there's a different threshold to obtain party status at the common pleas level than the zoning hearing board level, and that she feels it's proper for her arguments to be made at this level, to preserve them as an appellate issue if it goes back up to common pleas.
I agree that the standing issues are different. My only point is that the only standing issue that was before the court was standing before the zoning hearing board because the court remanded the matter to this board for the purpose of establishing, or purpose of confirming, not establishing, confirming the party status, which he found that they had. Now, I don't want to waste a lot of time on it because otherwise we'll be here till midnight on September 5th, your next hearing date. But if Bernadette, she doesn't mind my calling her by her first name, I've known her long enough. If Bernadette wishes to question all the people on that list with respect to standing, that's fine. And I can offer her the name of somebody to testify on behalf of the Brentford Civic Association, which we believe has derivative standing under the urban blight cases. So whichever way Bernadette wishes to proceed, I'm okay. I've made the record. I think I'm right, but
So,
All right, well,
is it,
raise this on the record, so it is part of the record, the objection.
so
Yes.
are you moving, requesting party status for all of the people on this list?
I am requesting party status for all the people on that list.
So, which ones do you object to, Bernadette?
Well, I'm sorry?
Which ones do you
Oh,
object to?
to begin with, can we come back to the Brentford Civic Association? But the ones at the bottom where Mr. Yanoff indicates, I believe it's 19 through 22, that are more than 500 feet from the property and did not receive notice of the hearing, I'm objecting to those. The Deb Morley, and I would need to know if she received notice of tonight's hearing and if she can see the property. And the Brentford Civic Association case law indicates that at least one member has to be within, if the notice is 500 feet, at least one member has to be within 500 feet in order to have standing.
Go ahead, Mike.
Again, I respectfully disagree with my learned colleague here. One of the indicia of standing is distance from the property and receipt of notice of the hearing. But it's not the only one. The overriding consideration is whether somebody who's requested party status is an aggrieved person. Distance from the property is only one element of agreed status. Receipt of the notice is only one indicia of whether you're an aggrieved person or not. And there could be 100 reasons why somebody didn't receive a written notice of this particular hearing.
So, Michael, if I drive by a property on my way to work every day, am I an aggrieved party under your argument?
Not necessarily, unless something about that application causes you some immediate and substantial injury or harm. But just as on its surface, the answer to your question is not without more information. We would say the likelihood of somebody just driving by having a aggrieved party status at a zoning hearing is minimal. We all agree with that.
Okay.
I don't think you're going to find any of that on this list. But having said that, I agree with you. But it's
I mean,
only,
you have a limit to it, is what my point is, right?
there's a limit. But Bernadette needs to go through the list of those people to whom she objects, against whom she objects, and ask specific questions. But I suggest to the board that distance is only one indicia, and receipt of notice is only one indicia. Whether or not they have a substantial interest in the property, in the application, in the harm that the application might cause, is the overriding question as to whether somebody is an aggrieved party or not.
But I don't think it's my burden to prove it. I could certainly ask questions. It's their burden to prove whether they have that substantial, immediate, and direct, rather than the average citizen's standing.
I'm prepared to call 23, well, I can't call 23 because the Cabanises are not here, but I'm prepared to call 23 witnesses this evening, including a representative of the Brentford Civic Association, in order to establish standing, if that's what the board's desire is. I'm prepared to do that.
So Bernadette, do you feel your objections preserved for common pleas appellate level if it goes up there? Or do you want to object to them having standing before the zoning board?
I have to by law, or by case law, I have to object at this level or I've lost that right.
So your objections on the record, and I don't want to preclude you from proceeding.
Yeah,
in matters.
I
If
guess
you
one of
want-
my questions.
If you want to call each one, then
Yeah.
we'll do it.
One of my questions is we can come back, numbers 2, 3, and 4. And I don't know if you know this, Michael, did they receive notice of this hearing tonight? I normally do not object to someone if they've received notice because they're within a certain distance.
I can find that for just a moment.
Okay.
Michael, would you like us to go off the record and you could just, we'll go off the record, Jeff? So Michael, you're going to call them and then,
I think Bern does call. Or you want me to call? How do you want?
Yeah, it's fine. We're going to start with the Brentford Civic Association.
Representative is Jake Swan,
okay,
S-W-A.
well, why don't we have Jake come up?
He's going to come up now.
I don't know.
He needs to be sworn up. You want to?
Yes.
It doesn't.
Hold on one second, Jake. We'll hit our stride. Eventually. Here you go.
She got one.
Bernadette, do you want one of these?
No, I got it.
So not,
Yeah, I know, but you're not going to go to all of that.
okay.
All right, Jake, ready? Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your full name,
Jacob
address?
Swan, 522 Oakley Road. 522 Oakley Road in Haverford. Swan, S-W-A-N-N.
And the capacity that you're appearing before the board this evening?
I'm testifying not on my behalf, but in my capacity as the president of the Brentford Civic Association.
Okay.
The Brentford Civic Association,
Are you going to ask questions, or you want me to ask him how you want to do it?
So you're requesting party status for,
I am requesting party status. Yes,
well, your attorney's requesting it on your behalf?
Yeah.
Correct?
On behalf of the Brentford Civic Association, that's derivative standing.
Okay. And you have an objection?
Yes, the objection is, I need to know that someone within the Civic Association who's a member has, let's start with, received notice of the hearing tonight because they're within 500 feet.
yes,
And who would that be?
multiple members. I have a membership list here, which I'm submitting as part of the record.
The membership list?
Yes.
Yeah, I need to know who on the membership list received that. I don't know if Mr. Yanoff knows that.
I mean, I can name some names.
But do you know who received the notice of the hearing?
Received notice.
Okay.
Did I name them?
Yes.
Okay. Marilia Marian,
And how do you spell that? Sorry.
Marilia. The last name is Marien. Her address is 713 Buck Lane. Lauren and Marcos Cabanas. That's Lauren. And Marcos, Marcos, Cabanas, Cabanas. And they are at 701 Buck Lane.
701 Buck?
You have to answer yes or no.
Yes.
Now, Michael, on your list, you have 701
One
Haverford
Haverford.
Road for them. So is Buck Lane their correct address?
Around the corner, I think it's,
I'm asking Michael. He submitted a list.
Lauren and Marcos Cabanas are 701 Haverford Road.
701 which? Buck or Haverford?
Haverford, he said. Michael's.
think that's a mistake? It
I
might
think
be
that's a
Buck Road.
mistake, but
You think, okay. Good. Go ahead, Bert.
Other people, do you need more? Or
Yeah,
is
I'm
that-
not seeing anyone that's right up against the property.
The property is surrounded on two sides by a street. So three sides by a street. It's on Haverford Road, West Avenue on one side and West Avenue in the back. So there's only one side that actually abuts any properties. The property that I just mentioned is, how do you say it? Catty corner from the service station,
Which property, the 701 Haverford?
which I believe is actually 701 Buck, yes.
I'm sorry, you're saying it's catty corner to, oh, I think I know where you're saying. I got it. I'm sorry.
If I may, perhaps we should mark the chart that you have.
I'm sorry, what is this?
Marking this as, how would you like opposition?
I think we'll go P
P?
for protestant
That's fine.
and A for applicant.
We'll mark this as P1. We can
Do you
ask
have any more? Okay.
Mr. Swan just to identify that.
I think Michael was asking you to identify that.
Identify this, what this is?
Yes, what P1 is.
P1 is a schematic map showing the people who are requesting party status who are represented by Mr. Yanov in this case.
And I think this kind of shows my point is, if it's, there's two blue dots that are down on Buck Lane that are pretty far down, and then there's a blue dot at the very edge of the circle. And again, the burden of proof is that they're affected more than the average citizen. If you can't see the property, you're not, and I agree, some of these on West Avenue, the Sligo ones, I'm not gonna have an issue with you, because you can see it. And you're affected by what goes on there, but more than the average citizen, because it is in your backyard. But my point being is the people down near the Preston Avenue, the people near the Rugby Road, they're well beyond what, my point is they're affected as the average citizen would be affected.
Well, we
They're
haven't
not-
heard the testimony about it.
May I
No, we're not.
May I-
Let us get through this, please.
clarify?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is not a list of the people in the Brentford Civic Association. This is a list of the people who are represented directly by Michael Yanov. The members of the Brentford Civic Association who are directly affected are not demonstrated on this.
Okay, so I guess that's my question. Do we have something that shows who the members of the Brentford Civic Association are, that on something like this?
On a schematic, no.
Okay.
We do have a list with addresses.
Why don't we mark that?
I'm sorry, Michael?
Well,
Why don't we mark that?
Okay.
I don't have another copy of it. You have any copies?
I have 5 copies of it.
make that P2.
Council,
And may I make a suggestion? I'm not going to be able to go through this all tonight. We're not going to get through this hearing tonight. Can I go through this and take a look at it? And we can come back to that one at the next meeting and go to the next?
Yes, but that's a list of the entire Brentford Civic Association membership, right? We don't know who on this list is requesting party status.
Yeah, I'm going to have to confer with Mr. Yanoff and ask him who on this list is looking for party status and presenting themselves as requesting for party status, basically.
But I think on Michael's list, he identified 7, including Brentford Civic 7 people or entities.
But actually, it's everyone on the list that you have, all 23.
You're requesting party status for everyone on the Brinford list?
All
Yes.
20,
No,
Everyone on the 23.
this list,
Uh,
not the.
Everyone on your list.
oh, let me say that again. All 23 are in the Civic Association?
No,
No, separate matter.
That's two different things.
I got confused. I didn't hear what you said.
Two different things. We are requesting party status for everybody who's in the enumerated 23 category list. So we're requesting party status to include the Brentford Civic Association. We're offering the membership list of the Civic Association merely because Bernadette asked for members of the Civic Association. So this is a list. They're not co-equal.
So, and they're not requesting individual status, they're requesting it through Brentford.
Well, some of them, those who are a member of the Brentford Civic Association who are on that list are asking for individual status as well. The purpose of Mr. Swan coming up at this particular point is to testify on behalf of Brentford Civic Association to provide derivative standing for its members. And all that's required by the law is at least one of its members have a direct interest or injury with respect to this application.
Do you
That's
agree
all
with,
that's required under
do you agree with that, Bernadette?
I agree. And if that person leaves, then I have the right to object to if they move, they leave the association, I have the right to object. So I continue to make that objection on the record. But that's what I was trying to figure out. Who, and I'm not going to be able to do it tonight, who is on this list that's within close distance to this property that Michael can say, yes, that one person, 2 people, whoever it is, would have standing?
Michael, are any of the 23 members of Brentford Civic?
yes,
And are any of those 23 close in distance, like on West Avenue?
yes. I don't have that list in front
Yeah,
of
but
me.
it's,
Well, it's the list as you said.
Well, right, I just haven't.
so can we overcome, I mean,
My
I mean,
suggestion is we move on to the next one, and I'll come back.
Okay.
And Michael and I could discuss it, and I'm just going to object, and we'll hold the decision in abeyance till next time. We're not going to get this done tonight, so. I just don't want to sit here and
no,
go through.
are you okay with that, Michael? We'll go, Bernadette, go through the list, and you two may be able to agree,
Yeah,
so
Stranger things have happened.
let's move on. then
stranger things
to-
have happened.
So, thank you, Jake. You can go have a seat. Oh, wait, Bill has a question. Sorry.
Jake, I just wanted to understand, so you're here in the capacity as president of Brentford Civic. Has the Civic Association taken a vote to authorize you to speak on behalf of all of these people? I'm not sure how the Civic Association works. If 51% of the members take a vote and ask you to speak on their behalf, do you speak on behalf of 100% of the membership or just those 51?
So generally speaking, we have meetings, public meetings, in-person meetings or virtual meetings. Whoever attends gets to vote. And then the executive board, which is composed of 6 people, passes a resolution authorizing the association to take some action.
And so that all happened, there was a vote, and then the executive.
This happened back in last year when we initially appealed this matter.
So you have evidence of your authority to speak on behalf of the association, not just with your title, but based on delegated power from the membership or the.
It's in the bylaws, which I have with me, copies for you, and it's also, I have the resolution by which I was appointed the president.
I'm sorry, say that last thing again?
I have a copy of the resolution by which I was appointed the president.
Okay.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the resolution appointed you as president, but did it authorize you to speak on this case on behalf of the Civic Association?
There was a resolution passed last fall by which we decided to appeal the zoning hearing board's decision to the Court of Common Pleas.
And so you consider that to be imputed authority to come before here and speak on behalf, I'm guessing, right?
Based on that, pertaining to this specific matter, yes, and generally in the bylaws, the president is authorized to speak on behalf of the association.
We've had cases, I just want to point out, including the case directly across the street, on another application where the Brentford Civic Association showed up with an officer to contest. And when pressed under oath, she admitted that she did not have the authority to speak on behalf of the Civic Association. She was speaking on her own personal behalf. I just want to make it very clear for the record that you have the authority to speak on behalf of the Civic Association. I realize you're the president, and there's a lot of deemed authority with your title. I just wanted to make it clear for the record whether you had specific authorization from the membership or the board to present on behalf of the Civic Association.
I do not have a specific document saying I have the authority to come before you on the 15th of August and present
But for this case,
of the Brentford Civic Association, no.
or just for this case, regardless of the date, I'm not caught up. I just,
There was an authorization given last fall pertaining to this case. We had no idea we would be here a year later. So
We can actually fix that. Since we're coming back to standing
that can
again,
be,
we will have a resolution of the association authorizing Jake to speak with him. This may or may not be the right time to raise this, raising issues. One more. If you look at the notice requirements of the Haverford Township zoning ordinance, I know that Ms. Kearney is talking about a number of feet from the property. There's nothing in the Haverford Township zoning ordinance. There's a restriction on number of feet from the property in order to receive notice. In fact, what it says is it says one of the ways that the zoning hearing board provides notice of the hearing is that it mails or delivers due notice thereof to the applicant and other parties in interest, who shall be at least those persons whose property adjoin the property in question. Others who are not within that category can also be part of this proceeding. I would agree that most ordinances don't read this way. Most ordinances do put a feet, as the crow flies, as to the distances. But the Haverford Township ordinance doesn't say that. So the idea of whether you're 400 feet, 500 feet, or 21 and a half feet really doesn't matter. Thank you.
All right, so.
So the next one on the list would be Tracy.
Have a seat, Jake.
okay.
Tracy Dubois, 638 Haverford Road.
Tracy, can you do it? Thank you. You have to be sworn or affirmed, either way.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
Tracy Dubose, 638 Haverford Road, Haverford, PA, 19041.
Tracy, did you receive notice of this proceeding?
Yes,
How did you receive that notice?
through the mail.
And it was mailed to you from Haverford Township?
Yes,
Thank you.
And may I call you Tracy? Tracy, I'm looking, I had marked off where you had lived. It looks like Buck Lane is between you and the subject property. And there are three houses in front of you before you hit Buck Lane.
right.
Yeah, can you see the property from where you're located?
Yes,
And what is the specific harm that you perceive from the requested relief?
that's a busy street. 'Cause I've been living there, a lot of accidents. And even traffic. I'm gonna give you an example, my children going to school, grandchildren. I mean, it's horrible.
Okay, so it's the traffic is the issue?
It would draw more traffic.
Okay. That's all the questions I had.
You object?
Yes.
All right, we're going to grant Tracy party status.
Thank you, Tracy.
There are two on the list for 644 Haverford Road properties, and it's 642 and 644 Haverford Road. Excuse me.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Your full name and the capacity in which you appear.
John David Birchmore, also known as Dave, which is what I go by. I'm a partner in the LLC, which owns property 642 and 644 Haverford Road.
Are you the managing member of the LLC?
P-U-R-C-H-M-O-R-E.
Thanks, Arlene. I butchered his last name.
And it was Birch, right?
Birchmore.
Birchmore, I'm sorry, I'm in trouble.
And do you live at those properties?
No, I operate a business.
David, did you receive notice of this hearing?
I was supposed to, never came. When I called the township just to make sure they had the correct address, they said they did, mailed it out, it got lost in the mail.
And you spoke to somebody at the township?
I did.
Specifically?
In the zoning department, yes.
Specific-
I do not remember her name.
Let's make the record clear. Specifically request to receiving notice of this particular proceeding?
Yes.
And
Because I did not receive one last time either, when this first came out.
Can you see the subject property from your house?
I can.
What is your specific concerns in 25 words or less, since we're not going through the entire testimony here
Okay.
today?
Can I ask just a couple of questions? I wear hearing aids and they're a little off today. What did you say that, did you ask if he lived at the building? I couldn't hear you.
I asked if
If he resides there, he said he runs a business.
Oh, you run a business there. They're not homes,
No.
not homes. And what is the business?
It's a picture framing business.
On both properties?
They've been converted into one.
One property. Oh, was it a former residence?
It was two twins.
Two twins, got it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. 25 words or less, or maybe, can you tell us what your specific concerns are with respect to this application?
Okay, I'm right on the corner of Buck Lane and Haverford at the traffic light, 50 feet from the adjacent property. The biggest thing that I have is the traffic. It is a dangerous intersection. I've actually seen, and we have video cameras, 13 accidents in the last 2 years. And there are people coming out of the gas station. My big thing is there's no flow to the gas station with people coming in every which way. And I get gas. It's one of the least expensive gas stations around for your dollar. But there is no flow there. That causes a problem. My customers leaving, entering my property. I only have one entrance. I just have a turnaround. They have to go out the same way they came in. Very difficult to do that. Traffic that is on Haverford Road now. There's a blind curve, which also creates a problem with speeders. That's about it.
Thank you.
Bernadette?
Yeah, and Mr. Birchmore, just between you and the property is Buck Lane, that's it, there's nothing else? I would have no objection to his standing.
Okay,
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
granted.
Want to go Sligo Properties?
Yes.
The Sligo properties, I'm assuming, why don't we just bring up who that is? I think I'm not gonna have an objection.
Thank you. You raise your right.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And your full name and address for the record, please?
Or Chen, F-L-O-R-A. Can you speak into the mic, please? F-L-O-R-A-C-H-E-N. And I live at 31st West Avenue. I work.
I'm sorry, say that again?
31st West Avenue. And I work at 750 East Haverford Road. and I'm here to represent Mr. Michael Rouse, who is the owner of ESF Camps Experience and the Sligo Enterprises.
And I'm going to object, you can't represent someone unless you're an attorney.
Well, she's representing is a lay term. She's here on behalf of, which is
sorry.
what she means.
On behalf of
Well, what's her relationship to Sligo Properties?
Go ahead, tell her.
my personal relationship with,
Well, it looks like it's a limited partnership. Are you one of the partners?
I'm not.
Are you a tenant?
I am a tenant.
You're a tenant of one of the properties?
I am a tenant of one of the property, and I work at another
Which property are you the tenant at?
31st West Avenue.
Yeah, I don't think she can, for the record, I have to note my objection. I don't think she can represent others if she's not part of the partnership, that she can represent and say she's objecting to this based on whatever, I think it was Mr. Kraus is saying. Mr. Kraus needs to be here and say it.
I want to hear you out on this issue, Michael, because I'm inclined to agree, but.
Okay, I'd like, in that regard, I'd like to mark a letter. Do we have more copies of this? Steve?
We only have one copy of this signed by Michael.
I think I have another one. Hang on one second. Excuse me.
Rouse, Rouse.
I think it will be an exhibit.
For the record, I'd like to show the board an exhibit which I marked as Exhibit P3, which I will represent to the board as a letter that was sent to me by Mr. Rouse dated August 12th, 2024, which explains Flora Chen's position here this evening. And it's my intention, Mr. Chairman, it's my intention, if possible, to have Mr. Rouse testify himself. But right here, we're only for purposes of standing. It's for a limited purpose of standing. So she's not speaking on behalf of Mr. Rouse necessarily on the facts of this, merely to establish standing of her location, this particular property.
But she would only have one location as a tenant.
Yes, and so she's asking for standing at that location.
But then she wouldn't be asking for, I guess I'm a little confused. She wouldn't be asking for standing on behalf of Sligo.
Well, and she is if she's an employee and authorized by this letter to speak on his behalf.
Well, I'm not seeing anything
sorry.
in the letter that indicates that.
Right, there's no authorization given to anyone.
I have a picture of Michael handing over this signed.
That's not going to happen.
Bernadette, did you get a copy of this?
Yes.
I would then propose, I would agree there's nothing in this letter that says that, but I would propose that she has standing on her own right as a resident of the property that she's identified, which was within sight distance of this particular property. It doesn't matter whether Mr. Rouse, whether authorized her or not, she has standing in her own right.
To testify as a resident for that single property.
That's fine.
Yeah, and I'm going to object to any admittance of P3.
I'll withdraw the offer.
Okay.
Bernadette, do you have any other questions?
I apologize, Ms. Chen. Which property did you say that you were the tenant at?
31 West Avenue.
And can you see the property from your location?
Barely, very close. We are, yeah.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Barely.
Barely, okay. And can you explain what your harm is based on the requested relief?
Yes. So I live on 31st West Avenue. I live at 31 West Avenue, and I work at 750 East Haverford Road, another property across, like, within the area. And we have over 40 employees working there as well. This is a very busy area, and I've been here for about 3 years. Ever since I was here, I've seen at least 2 accidents happening at the corner where there's ESF building and the West Avenue entering into Haverford. One of the accident was actually the mom of one of my coworkers that she was just turning in there, and then there was a lot of traffic already, so there's definitely concern there.
The traffic is a concern.
Yeah,
And
the
I'm
traffic
sorry,
is a concern.
You live at, let me flip this over again. You live at 31, but you keep referencing 750.
Because I live at 31 and work at 750 East Haverford, so
Okay.
2 properties.
I don't think that working at 750 has any relevance, but I will object to the standing for the tenant as a tenant at the 31st.
And what's the basis for your objection to that one, Bernadette?
Again, she indicates she can barely see the property, and based on the specific harm, it has to be more than what the average citizen would indicate is a harm. It sounds like more like the 750 is the bigger issue. What she's testifying in reference to is what's going on at 750.
I believe her testimony was much more than just a general concern about traffic. She was very specific. And I think that confers standing on her. Would you like to add something?
Yeah, so the way that West Avenue is, it's like it hugs like Haverford, so you cannot exit where we live without entering to Haverford one way or another. And the gas station or the new location that's going to have a convenience store is literally right in the middle of that, which is like the back of where we live. That's why I can barely see it, because it's like trees and stuff, but it's literally right there. I'm like 140 feet within the distance, so I can throw a stone and it's gonna arrive there, but I can barely see it. Either way, if I enter or exit through one way or another, I have to enter into traffic, so I cannot escape from that traffic. And I work there every day. I have to go get lunch, and that's multiple entries and exits every day.
Receive notice.
I'm sorry, Michael, I couldn't hear that. Oh,
Yeah,
I have one
Go ahead,
question
Phil.
for you. So West Avenue is not a one-way street, right? You can go in or out either way.
Yeah, it's not a one-way street.
Okay. And your 31 West Avenue is closer to the 750 East Lancaster or East Haverford Road side of
Correct.
the semicircle that is West Avenue. Is that
Correct.
So you live close, you can see your place of employment from your.
Correct.
I have no further questions.
So you're objecting based on the fact that,
Apparently, it's what she's indicating in her testimony, it's very landscape. She can't barely see the back of it, and it's the concern of traffic. But that's a general concern.
It is not a general concern when it relates to the particular property in which she resides. And she's testified as to what her problems are getting in and out of her own property.
All right, we're gonna grant that one.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another witness for another of the Sligo properties.
Okay,
Name's not separately listed, but it'll be identified now. Raise your right hand.
you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
My name is Chris Gouda, 26 West Avenue, Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. Guda.
Chris, what is the address that you reside?
26 West Avenue.
By the way, are you also employed by Sligo Properties?
I'm employed, I'm a tenant of the property, and I'm employed by ESF as well.
ESF is Sligo Properties.
Yes, ESF's the owner of ESF is also the owner of Sligo.
Okay. Can you tell us what your particular concerns are with respect to this property?
Absolutely. The front of my house directly faces the back of the property in question. The increase of volume of potential, I would say, customers in that area directly impacts the traffic and safety of that intersection and my road. As a father of a 2.5-year-old who, it's a quiet street and we see people zooming up and down coming from the property often on a very quiet loop street, as my predecessor just said, that there is only two road accesses out of West Avenue. One on the Haverford Road side that is less than 150 feet away from the gas station, and the other one that directly impacts the one exit of the gas station between the gas station and Buck Lane. I have seen numerous accidents. I've lived there for 11 years. I have seen numerous accidents and increase of traffic, as well as noise issues from an environmental perspective that directly impacted not just my area, but my neighbor's area. It's incredibly unsafe in that intersection.
Just a brief synopsis of the environmental issue that affected you.
Yes, about a year and a half ago, there was a leak from the gas station that entered the water supply and groundwater of the entire area. It forced our neighbors out of that house. They need to be to leave because of the groundwater getting into their basement. There have been constant remediation efforts for the past year and a half. I don't even remember what it was, year and a half, 2 years, whatever it's been, that have directly impacted not just the safety of the people living on the road, but also the in and out traffic on, again, West Avenue that goes out, because there are barricades and things that stop us from, that stopped us from exiting on the safer side at times of the traffic light.
Okay, Bernadette?
I apologize. You had indicated that, is there a house, so you're on one side of West Avenue, and then there's houses on the other side of West Avenue?
Correct.
Okay. And are you sort of catty corner to the property?
I mean, catty corner in the sense of, catty corner I would define as across like a intersection. I am directly across the street from the back of the property.
And you can see the property?
100%.
Okay.
Every single person on West Avenue can see the property.
I have no objection to I'm sorry, it's number 7 on my list.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Brown? Get that.
Did you say Michelle Brown?
Yeah, well, I thought that Mr. Brown was here rather than
Okay,
Michelle.
they're not here?
Right now, they're not here.
Okay.
I'm not offering that person at this particular. Jared Rayner?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
Jared Michael Rayner, 317 Buck Lane, Haverford, 19041. Raynor.
Jared, did you receive notice of the hearing?
I did not.
Did you inquire with the township as to why you hadn't received notice?
I did not inquire about why. I had already heard about it, and I didn't know that I needed to receive notice. I was concerned that I hadn't received notice since I am within 500 feet of the property and sit catty corner, but in the other direction. And I don't understand how the township determines those regulations, but it may be that the SEPTA line would have segment between myself and the property in question.
Can you see the property here?
I can.
Do you have any particular concerns in summation about the particular application?
I have 3 concerns, all related to altering the essential character of the neighborhood. The following include safety reasons, as have already been articulated, regarding traffic, but in addition to that, additional people into the area that can use the area for vagrancy, which I can give specific examples to in testimony of already starting to happen on the SEPTA property. Secondly is blight. The request for variance in terms of the signage in particular will cause significant blight in the area based on the increase in size. And thirdly is the character of the tenants, the property owners in terms of responding and being good stewards in the neighborhood, which has been an issue in the past, including the stewardship that was just mentioned related to the gas or to the substance spill that happened that affected my property directly.
What impact did it have on your property?
The EPA was required to put cleaning or collection agents on Cobb's Creek on the piece that abuts my property.
Were you able to move back into your property?
We weren't required to vacate my property.
Bernadette?
Yeah, on the P1, or just want to make sure, are you the blue dot here, the square dot here?
Yes.
I'm going to object because of the distance from the property.
This is the one that's literally on the red radius?
Yeah.
On the red circle?
Yep.
Once again, the Haverford Township ordinance does not have a distance that requires people to get notice. Therefore, the objection is
Yeah, I'm not objecting that he didn't get notice or whether he got notice or not. I'm saying he's too far from the property.
but he testified that he could see the property and he testified about issues that are concerned to him on the property that he's able to observe.
Right, but the concerns have to be related to the relief that's being requested.
Well, they are. They're related to the ownership of that property and its current use and whether it's
The ownership of the property is not,
whether it's being a good neighbor and whether or not there's blight on the property and what his feelings are about the proposed additional use.
yeah, and that's not a basis for standing. The basis for standing is you have to show a direct, immediate, and substantial interest in the subject of the application, not whether he likes the person who runs the business or not whether something else happened that's not related to the application.
Well, I don't see how you can separate that. Somebody owns a property and runs a business out of that property and wants to come before the board and ask for an additional business. I think the manner in which he ran his business is certainly relevant and certainly confers standing. Again, this board can choose to ignore the substantive testimony if it wishes, but this is only an issue of standing, whether or not he has standing to appear as a party.
Right, and I have to note my objections for the record.
Yep. We're going to take a 2-minute break. I have a question for Dan that I need to ask off the record. All right, we'll go back on the record, Jeff. Okay, we'll resume the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board. Go ahead. Bill, you have questions?
Yeah, Mr. Rayner, I believe that we've heard a case involving your property before, and at the time, some of the testimony was that the location of a shed, which was butting closer to the right-of-way of Buck Lane, would be largely invisible from Buck Lane because it was lower than the grade of the road. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And so your property is generally below the grade of Buck Lane where it is in front of your house?
Where the house, the entrance to the house, yes, but not in a 3-story house.
Got it, right. But just on the ground level?
Correct.
Yep, okay. And so just wanted to make sure we really understood how you were looking at this property from your property. When you go past your driveway, the Buck Lane has to rise in elevation to get over the P&W track, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then it drops back down to grade at Haverford Road?
Correct.
Okay. And so where in your property can you actually see this gas station? Is it only on your 3rd floor?
So there are 2 places where we can see it. One is from the 3rd floor and the windows. There are 2 windows on that side of the house that that we can see the lights from the gas station specifically come in and the sign.
Is that the light or the actual light stanchions that you see physically, like the light fixtures?
The sign for the gas prices. The second location is more seasonal, and that is from our back deck. There's actually a direct line from the gas station to our back deck, because that's all now, because at that point, you're looking across the tracks and the bridge area, and so you can see the top of the gas station area.
You can see the roof of the gas station, for instance. And are you looking under the bridge or around the bridge?
Around the
Okay.
bridge.
And in the two windows you're talking about, is that an attic or is that living space?
That's living
Okay,
space.
thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bernadette?
No further questions, just note my objection.
All right, we'll grant party status.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Deb Morley?
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And your full name and address for the record, please.
Deborah Morley, 320 Buck Lane, Haverford.
Just, if I can interrupt for just a second, isn't Ms. Morley one of the people that Judge Dozer already accepted?
Yes.
All right, so I don't think there's,
Yeah, I just have to note my objection for the record.
okay, I'm sorry.
Because
I didn't mean to
although we
interrupt.
granted party status, as we explained before, there's another issue if they should
Right,
raise it.
right.
Yep.
You're still here. So we're granting her party status?
Well, I want to hear Bernadette.
I'm
Is
sorry?
there anything else you want to put on the record?
Yeah, Ms. Morley, what's the distance? I believe you are, I'm trying to match it up with the blue dots. If you know which blue square you are.
I'm not sure we're here. So we're directly behind the gas station, across West Ave, across the tracks.
And can you see, let me go stand by the microphone. Can you see the gas station from your property?
Yes.
Okay, and can you explain how you were directly affected by the requested relief?
So obviously, as others have stated, it's a very dangerous area in terms of traffic. Both as a pedestrian and a motorist, I've almost been hit. I'm also greatly concerned about the increase in loitering, noise, trash, and lights that adding a convenience store to this location would bring to our residential area.
I'm still going to note my objection for the record.
And where's she at, Bill, on the map?
I think you're the first blue square just along Buck Lane, right, on this map?
That looks much further than we are. I mean, I'm about 300, at the side of our property is about 325 feet from the property, the back of the gas station. So we're the first.
You know exactly your distance to the property line of the gas station parcel, or you're talking about, you've measured it out to the building, to the property line? Just, you were very precise. I figured you have a good number.
Well, looking on Google Maps, it says about 640 going out the driveway, over the bridge, around, out Haverford. But our side yard is right there at the track. Across the track is West End. And then right there is the gas station. So we are directly behind it.
But you don't think your house is depicted on this P1?
It looks further than what I would think.
I'm sorry?
It looks can I see it again? Yeah.
Mr. Swan prepared that, can probably.
It'll short circuit.
No, this is your house, but that's the house, it's not the property. Property line.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure out where she got her measurement from. Yeah, so it's this property that you think. It's the one closest to Buck Lane of the three that appear to be accessible in theory from Bambi, but you're really the property in the corner of Bambi and Buck? Or closest, according to this map, which, no, it's the
first property over the bridge.
Yeah, we're clearly on Buck, not the corner.
Okay, so you're the first property. If we go over the bridge for the P&W line. You're the first property on the right on Buck Lane? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to grant that. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you.
I didn't hear the laugh. Was that one granted?
Yes.
Okay.
Matthew Anderson?
I mean, she's.
Matthew Anderson?
She is.
Not present.
You gave
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Do.
And your full name and address for the record, please, Matthew.
You Anderson, 708 Buck.
Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you. Can you tell us how far you are from the subject property?
About 3 properties up Buck Lane. So when I fall asleep tonight, I will fall asleep to the light of the property through my bedroom window.
So you're able to see the property from your bedroom window?
I can.
What are your particular concerns other than seeing the light when you go to sleep?
Light, traffic, pedestrian, specifically with me and my kids on the sidewalks. The traffic going in and out of the convenience store proposal is right on the sidewalk of Haverford Road, basically rendering that sidewalk unusable because of the flow of the traffic. And the safety of the crossing from over Haverford Road on Buck Lane is very unsafe as it is, with traffic coming from all directions. And just concerned about the previous environmental concerns already raised. So requesting party status.
Bernadette?
Yeah, I'm looking on the blue square. You're the property, the subject property, then there's Haverford Road, then I think there's like 4 properties between you and Haverford Road. A little hard to tell.
You want to show them what you're looking at?
Michael should have a copy of it. I'm not sure which one you are. The first blue one or the second one?
Not sure.
Okay.
Bernadette, you want to clarify for the record what he was pointing at?
Yeah, so if you, yeah, it's kind of hard to say. There are 2 blue squares that are located near Haverford and the Buck.
Can I ask, Mr. Anderson, from the corner where the old deli used to be, the question was whether you're the 4th house or the 3rd house, I believe. One of those houses is an uninhabitable building. Lot. It was knocked down?
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to point out, I think that there had been an uninhabitable house located behind the deli that was probably picked up on this map as an existing improvement that is no longer there. Is that helpful to clear this up? You're now the 3rd house from counting the deli, the old deli.
Deli, lot, twin, me.
I just, based on the testimony and the distance from the property, I would object to the standing.
All right, we're going to grant that.
Thank you. Jack O'Donnell?
What about, what was that?
You missed one, Michael. Chris Morse? Are you skipping that one?
Chris Morse.
Right.
Chris Morse here? Oh, I'm sorry. Wouldn't want to deprive you of your opportunity. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, all the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And your full name and address for the record, please.
Christopher Claiborne Morse, 710 Buck Lane, Haverford, PA. Oh, I'm sorry. Christopher Claiborne Morse, 710 Buck Lane, Haverford, PA.
Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you. How far are you from the subject property?
I am the 4th house from up Buck Lane, so I'm actually Matt Anderson's neighbor who just testified.
Okay. And do you have any particular concerns about this application? In summary.
I do. In summary, my concerns are about safety. I have 2 kids. We frequently walk up Buck Lane into the Coopertown neighborhood. My daughter will be attending kindergarten there next year. I commute on the high-speed line, so I walk through that intersection. I've been hit, or I'm sorry, almost hit multiple times. The turns there, getting in and out from the points of egress, people aren't looking for pedestrians, they're looking at the cars. And so you're frequently almost being turned into. My car has been hit, parked on Buck Lane. So again, the traffic and the safety there with my kids, I'm very concerned about.
Bernadette?
Yeah, I'm going to object. He's further than the Mr. Anderson, and again, just he's indicating generalized concerns about traffic, which don't provide standing for this particular application.
Yeah, Michael, can you elaborate a little bit more about what you're
Personal
concerned about?
impact it has on you with respect to the application and the proposed use as a convenience store.
Yeah, again, my personal concerns are for my children's safety. So I'm misunderstanding where the personal connection is missing there.
So there was an auto repair shop there before, right?
Yes.
And now it's going to, for lack of a better word, be a convenience.
So much more traffic coming in and out.
And again, he's not, unless, I'm not sure if you're an engineer or a traffic engineer, that's just his assumption. And it's, again, this is the whole point, is these generalized assumptions that doesn't provide standing. It has to be specific.
Let me address that. I'm glad that Bernadette raised that. As part of her application, I note, unlike the last time she was here, we now have.
I wasn't here before.
Client was here. I stand corrected. There was no traffic report that was provided, even though a traffic report is required by the township rules and regulations. There now is a traffic report. One of the issues that is raised in that traffic report, which we will rebut, is the internal circulation, egress and ingress, and the impact that that has on neighbors and the ability to traverse that particular property, which, in our opinion, will become much worse with respect to the increased use as a convenience store, as opposed to drive in, leave my car there, or get gas. This particular witness, again, this is only for standing, and the board has the right to reject this going forward in terms of a reason to approve or not approve this application. But for purpose of standing, he's given you a personal reason. He has concern about the safety of his children because of the manner in which cars go in and out and will go in and out of a more densely used property for convenience store. That, for purposes of standing, is enough to get by Bernadette's objection. And I respectfully request that standing be granted.
Me too. So we're going to grant that one?
Thank you. Now, I call Jack O'Donnell.
Yeah, do whatever you want, Dan. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yeah.
And your full name and address, please?
John O'Donnell, 44 Bambi Lane, Haverford, 19041.
All right, Jack, how close is Bambi Lane and your property to the subject property?
My property, the center of my house, according to Google Maps, center of my house to the center of the gas pumps is 375 feet.
Did you get notice of this hearing?
I did not.
Did you inquire with the township as to getting notice?
No, sir.
Okay. What is your particular concern relating to the proposed use?
Well, we're concerned on two levels. Obviously, the traffic has been brought up again and again and again. We walk over the bridge. We walk past the gas station across that intersection all the time. It's a very, very busy intersection. It's essentially a 5-point intersection with West Avenue coming in there. And the secondary concern that we have is the station is very bright, and our bedroom looks over that station, right across the tracks. I don't know if the signage is going to change that. I don't know if it's bright now, and we're to sleep without air conditioning, with the windows open, and it is just glaring at night.
Are the lights pointing at you? Or is this just, so this is just the aura of the lights around the existing service station currently create light
Yeah, I would say
pollution for you?
that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they're pointing at me.
Yeah. Just on you're between West Avenue, then there's homes, and then there's the SEPTA Paoli line, and then, yeah,
That's 44 Bambi is right here on the corner.
okay. So
I look over the septic tracks.
you look over the SEPTA tracks, okay. Yeah, again, these are generalized traffic concerns. Yeah, I get it. It's already a busy intersection. But what we're focused on is what's being presented. You can't hold, and I'm not going to make argument, but it's generalized traffic concern. We're not changing the signage in the sense that the signage exists today. We're actually kind of reducing what's out there. So the signage isn't changing in the sense that,
The lights aren't going to change.
yeah, the lights aren't changing on the
Well-
signage.
You're asking to change the color, right? Isn't that true?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Or aren't you changing the color?
No, that had been denied before. We haven't gotten to that yet. That request is being withdrawn.
Okay, I'm sorry, I read that on the,
That's actually my point. We really haven't gotten to the substance of Bernadette's client's testimony. So we don't really know what it is that they're proposing here this evening. Other than
What was denied?
that part was denied.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not arguing that point. I'm talking about the issue of traffic and the issue of the use of the property. We haven't heard anything.
Yeah, this is a remanded application. The
But
testimony,
we have not, and the court ordered you to order a full, complete hearing, which requires you to produce your witnesses again and also subject any cross-examination. This individual is testifying about a personal impact on him. That's all he needs to testify to with respect to the standing issue. Again, not whether the board should approve the application or not approve the application, only whether this gentleman has a significant enough harm to have standing at this particular proceeding.
right, and he has to relay that to you. And what I'm saying is, again, generalized traffic concerns are not a basis for standing, and the light, we're not asking for relief from the lighting.
I'm not willing to categorize this as a generalized traffic concern. This impacts these individual property owners in a very special way, each one of them. So it's not, oh, there's a lot of traffic on Haverford Road. If you were to stand up and say, I don't like it because there's a lot of traffic on Haverford Road, Bernadette has a point. That's not what he says.
yes.
That's how I feel about it.
All right. I think what I'm going to do is query the board to see what the consensus is. Jesse, yes or no to grant party status?
No.
Bill?
No.
Jessica?
Yes.
I'll say no. So party status is denied for this individual.
To the extent that he's within 500 feet, it also presents an issue if we provide Bernadette's analysis.
Wait, I couldn't hear you. Somebody's moving something.
To the extent that he's within 500 feet, it does become relevant as to whether or not he has a direct and immediate, whether the application has a direct and immediate impact on him.
Okay, noted for the record. Who's next? Jason?
Jason Johnson. Jason Johnson? Johnson? In light of the board's ruling just before, call Teresa O'Donnell.
Okay. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Do.
And your full name and address for the record, please?
Teresa O'Donnell, 44 Bambi Lane, Haverford. I'm sorry. Teresa,
Go ahead, that's right.
okay.
Would you like
Teresa,
to add anything to your husband's testimony?
yes. So I've been a resident on Bambi Lane for over 25 years, and that gas station has so much traffic now as it is. My concern is they want to, supposedly they are going to put 6 parking spaces in when it should be 7. And even with so much traffic going through the gas station, the cars are always coming in and out. That my concern is if people are trying to even park for the convenience store, it's going to be another reason for more cause of accidents. And also for the, I think what they're planning, like those machines and things like that, I think it's just more loitering and it's not really necessary when we have the WOW and the 7-Eleven so close.
Bernadette?
I don't have any questions.
I'll put this to the board as well. Jesse?
No.
Bill? Jessica?
Yes.
I'll say no. That was denied as well.
Is Mr. Johnson here, Jason Johnson? No? Okay. Cecilia? Are you here? Here either. Josh? Josh Dupuy?
Oh, Cecilia is not here, Mike.
No, Cecilia's not.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I
And
do.
your full name and address, please, for the record.
Joshua Dupuis, Dupuis, 762 Buck Lane.
Can you see the property from your house?
If I stand in the front yard and crane my neck, yes.
You can. Okay. Can you tell us what your particular concerns are?
I worked with the Commissioner of the Fifth Ward, Laura Cavender, for the past 2 years to get a study of walkability in the Brynford neighborhood, which culminated with them hiring CH Planning to do that study and make recommendations to the township. The focus of that study has been determined is to highlight walkability for safe corridors for children walking to school. The gas station currently, as it stands, is the biggest obstacle between my property, also Mr. Anderson and Mr. Morse, all of our children who will be walking to Coopertown Elementary. My concern is that by removing a garage and adding a high-traffic convenience store furthers a problem that this township has already spent money on studying to try to make better. So we're unwinding the work we've done over the past 2 or 3 years. I would like to give testimony withstanding, with my experience being deeply involved in those walkability studies, specifically in the neighborhood, and that corridor that goes from my house to Coopertown Elementary, and this gas station lies directly in between.
Well, Josh, regardless of whether or not you have standing, you'll have an opportunity to give your testimony. Bernadette?
Yeah, you recognize the property is zoned to allow for convenience store. It's permitted use.
Well, that's not exactly true. That's not exactly true. The application here is not just for a convenience store. You can look at the ordinance where you want. The application is for a gas station and a convenience store. The application is for more than one principal use on the property. So it's unfair to say that this is merely an application for a convenience store.
I didn't say that. What I asked,
Rephrase the question.
what I asked was, do you recognize that a convenience store is allowed at the property?
I have not studied the specific zoning of this property, but I do know that changes to the structure of the parking lot, in my opinion, would make it even more difficult for a situation that is already extremely difficult for children to cross on their way to school.
I'm going to object to standing. This is a commercially zoned property that's permitted.
Doesn't mean you get to do whatever you want.
I'm indicating that it's a
You
commercially
can't argue.
zoned property, so I'm objecting to standing.
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
Yes.
So the Haverford Township School District does not provide bus service to your community?
I'd like to be able to walk to school.
I just asked a
I
question.
am not, you know, I'm not.
Just answer the
Just
question.
answer the
I'm
question.
not positive.
Okay. And your child's starting kindergarten in the fall?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't yet know whether the school district has offered you bus service?
He's not going there this fall. He'll be going in first grade, so the following year.
Okay. How many houses, how close are you to Railroad Avenue on Buck Lane?
The railroad, I'm 1 house away. I'm 1,000 feet from the gas station.
Okay.
And the distance alone is basis for objection.
I have a question, Bob. Is there a crossing guard at Haverford Road?
No.
Okay.
No. And actually, the sidewalk is on my side of the street, on the even numbers of Buck Lane, and you have to cross over Buck Lane to somebody's property that has no sidewalk. It is just grass with a high curb. Then you have to cross over Haverford. So you have to time it when the light is just about to change to kind of take a 2-point turn, because there's no way to cross from the sidewalk to the gas station because it has 3 entrances, and that corner has 2 entrances where people are coming in. So
But to confirm, the school district does not put a crossing
no,
guard
there's
there.
absolutely no crossing guard.
Okay, Jess? Okay. Do you have anything else, Bernadette?
No, just again, the distance alone.
Distance
Over
is not-
1,000.
Distance is not a requirement in the ordinance.
I'm going to put this one to a board vote as well. Jesse? Bill?
No.
Jessica?
No.
I say no as well.
Mr. Rouse?
Diane, Michael, isn't Diane
I think that,
Gretlaw next?
May, I think that Josh is one of the people who was listed in the order of the court,
Yes, he was.
and it's granting standing.
Yes, he was.
I would again argue that the court's order takes precedence over that, over your decision not to grant standing. Mr. Rouse?
I'm sorry, Michael, what number is that on that?
Well, Mr. Rouse is Sligo Properties.
Oh,
I'm sorry, is who?
Sligo
Oh.
Properties?
please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And your full name and address for the record?
Michael John Rouse, R-O-U-S-E, 750
Okay. Mr. Rouse, if you come over to the microphone. Now, you're the owner of several properties that are nearby, is that correct? Yes, the application. What are those properties?
750 East Haverford Road, 31 West Avenue, 35 West Avenue, 29.5 West Avenue, 29 West Avenue, 26 West Avenue, 23 West Avenue.
Okay. What about 750 East Haverford? Do you own it?
That's what I started.
Oh, you started with that?
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you tell us what your specific objections are, if you have any, with respect to this application?
Yes, last spring, over a year ago, we were notified in the afternoon by the Haverford Township Police about an environmental concern that we had to vacate one of our homes immediately, if not the entire street, based on gas leakage that happened at the fuel station right there on the corner. For roughly 4 weeks after reaching out to the property owner of the gas station, asking for the phone number, multiple attempts to try to find out what was going on, received no callbacks whatsoever. The township then turned it over to an environmental company called Claymore, who then set up an entire trailer on the street. Went radio silent based on trying to understand the everything from the environmental situation to tests that they had to do up and down the street. Meanwhile, we had several people on our street that were very concerned about the concern of what was happening. There was no communication whatsoever from the property owner. The township turned it over to Claymore, and all we were looking for was information about, was the leak continuing? Should we vacate? Should we get out? I wrote the gas station owner. Never to this day have ever received a call back or a response. Their approach to this, in my opinion, environmental mess, I thought was totally irresponsible. There was no integrity in terms of letting any of us on the street know that this was happening. The fact that the police had to be involved to notify us, to let us know that this is an issue, that they don't know what is going on because they're going to be investigating. And then it was turned over to a third party. We've been out for 14 months, not putting anyone in that particular home. We have had several concerns that have never been answered by the gas station owner. And when I was told just this past week that they have applied for this, I guess, variance or zoning board application, I was quite concerned for many reasons. Number one, as a good neighbor, they have not been a great neighbor. Number two, their communication in terms of what is happening on their property was very limited, if not hidden. And third, operating as an additional business in addition to a gas station, I feel like they're struggling to actually run a good business right now when it comes to a responsible business. And to add another business on top of that with a convenience store would only make it more complex.
You're aware that they intend to continue the gas station use at that
Yes,
property?
I am.
Okay, I'm going to show you a letter which I previously marked as P3. Is this your letter, sir?
It is.
Okay. And you authored this letter and signed it?
I did. And I gave the floor to Ken. Not.
Okay, well, you're here today, but you're able to identify that letter, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions of this witness. So it's standing.
Yeah, just a few questions. On the P1, you are the, identified as the 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it's 5 squares that are right next to West Avenue, and then one that is crossed, I think, across Preston.
We have the properties that are abutting the gas station, all the properties along Haverford Road. We're immediately behind them, as well as on 750 East Haverford Road, which is across from West Avenue.
Okay, so
We are directly behind your.
yeah. So the 750 is the office?
That's my office.
Okay. And the other properties are all residential?
All residential.
Okay. And all the residentials can see the subject property?
When you say C, I mean, it's literally next door, right behind it. They're in the back.
Yeah, it's 5 properties that are in the back. They're all residential, and they can all see the
Pretty much.
yeah. I don't have objection to the 5 residential. The one across Preston, the office, I have an objection to.
We're going to grant it
Thank you.
for all of them.
Thank you. Diane,
And the reason we couldn't accept the letter is because you didn't give specific authorization to speak on this subject. Again, if you had not given authorization and someone spoke on your behalf and we accepted it, that would be a major problem. So, for your protection. I think we should continue at this point.
Fine.
This is going to take us a few minutes to work out the scheduling,
That's fine.
right?
That's fine. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
So what's your schedule look like? And Bernadette, the 5th is out of the question. Yeah, let's keep it on the record early. So the 5th is out of the question. We have a jam-packed agenda already, and that's our next hearing date. And Jamie, you said the 17th or the 19th, we're already packed?
We have 2 scheduled for the 19th.
I hate to ask, but how would you guys feel about the 12th? Can we get through on the 12th?
So that's the planning commission has it at 7 p.m.
28th or 26th, or whatever it is.
The 26th would be available.
Yes,
Does that work for you? Does that work for you, John?
you're good? Yes.
Obviously, I can't answer.
Yeah.
We'll work something out together.
Yeah? Kathy, you good? So, Jamie, let's reserve for the 26th.
Okay.
And I'm going to announce the to the 26th.
Okay.
So,
Michael, does that work for you, the 26th? Okay.
yeah, yes. We could try earlier. You guys want to do it tomorrow?
Yeah, is it, I don't know, probably, yeah.
Want to do
7:15.
Whatever, for you. We can be for you, sir.
No, I got it.
It's 7:15.
Yeah, I don't yet really know.
On the 26th?
It's everything's.
Make it 7. We'll make it 7.
Yeah.
But we'll do it 7:30 that day, Mike.
One.
I did? Yeah. But you?
I'm okay with going out of order if you.
So
we're going to do it on at 7:30
On the 26th.
on the 26th.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your patience.
Here.
No, it
Right? You're right.
No, no.
It'll be fine.
Is it August?
We'll go out of order, we'll put our
September.
3 on, and then we'll come back to you. He may have witnesses too.
All right, with that, this case is continued to our to a special meeting on tentatively scheduled for September 26th, a special meeting, for this case only, to convene at 7:30 that night. All right, now, we're going to go in recess, so everybody clear the room, and then we have some other business that we have to address.
Thank you.
Which you're welcome to stay for, but something tells me everybody wants to get up. We'll continue the meeting, resume the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board of Thursday, August 15th. With regard to case Z24-25, Lanner Country Club, owner of 950 Westchester Pike. I won't read the rest of the description into the record unless someone specifically requests that I do so. Are you prepared to vote, Jessica?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
And so am I. Jessica, would you please take that decision?
Yes, I would vote to approve the application with the following conditions. The new trash area will be enclosed by a fence with privacy screening and will be buffered from Westchester Pike with landscaping. The existing landscaping buffer on Westchester Pike will be replanted between the proposed parking area and Westchester Pike where it is disturbed by construction. The new storage shed in the pool area will not be within the front yard setback, and all work will be completed within 18 months and in accordance with the notes of testimony.
Jesse?
I agree.
And so do I. That application's approved, 3-0. Any other administrative matters or anything we need to address? Then we are adjourned.